You've been talking about the impact of the digital revolution on transport workers. What about this whole idea of it needs to be more green? What sort of impact does that have on workers in the transport industry?
At the moment, the outcomes of COP21 in Paris last year are still being evaluated, but the reality for us is in the big cities, there needs to be massive investment in infrastructure, and as a union organisation we're trying to get that debate into the heads of unions. It's not the most easy thing to do because they worry about their day-to-day terms and conditions, but in reality, as new regulation comes in about climate, and I don't think there's any way that that won't be happening, and we're a big supporter of it, we need to look at new ways that we raise capital, and we're trying to make sure that the workers have a voice. In particular, we have projects on workers' capital where it could be that the Union Pension Fund is sponsoring an infrastructure project, and we kind of want to have a debate about how that's used and ensure it's unionised construction labour and unionised transport workers at the end of the process.
Does a forum like this give you an opportunity, a good opportunity if you like, to meet government, to meet other organisations like yourself? How valuable is it to you, I guess?
Well, this is my first visit. I'm a fairly new General Secretary, and already I feel that having a platform discussion like that gives me the opportunity to get different perspectives, but also an opportunity to see perhaps what's going on and get different points of view from the different stakeholders. I'm kind of hoping that we'll move from beyond just points of view to something a little bit more substantive, but I think you need to work at that to make that happen.
Transport's changing, isn't it? I mean, when you look at the way cities are run now, and you look at like bikes are coming back in a big way, our cities becoming no-go areas for big transportations. What do you think are the big changes that we face with our...
Well, I think, again, similar to the conversation on the panel today, the reality has to be we need to look at what do we want from our cities and how does it work out. The old-fashioned methodology of there's a downtown and there's a business district and you commute into that, I think, will change more and more over time. The concept of digitalisation, but electronic mail itself means you don't necessarily have to be behind a desk. So that will change the flow and the reality. On one hand, we're big supporters of the climate change regulation and the improvement on that, but on the other hand, we also want to protect workers and upskill and reflect their education on a basis that they need to be in the next phase of transportation. So for us, I think I would separate passenger transport from freight transport in that issue, but I think it's going to change, and it's going to change at a pace that perhaps we haven't seen for a while, and we need to be well informed and at the table engaging on that change.
What would you like to see come out of this particular forum? What would you hope would...
Well, as a minimum, I want to have a new group of people where we can exchange views from the different elements. We had technological experts and we had employers. I'd like to further those conversations, but perhaps a further debate inside the ITF methodology about how do we engage with each other, on record, off record, informal, formal. We won't mind, because in reality we've got to have the conversations, because the world's changing very fast and we need to be able to inform each union and their members about what we should be doing about it.
And as a new guy at one of these things, what's been your first impression?
Very open format. I think, as with all these platforms, getting people to ask the questions they really want to hear the answers is always a challenge, but I'm hoping around the coffee and those areas that they'll say, I didn't like that, or I did like that, but let's talk about it. And I think those are the most important. Personal contact, absolutely vital to manage change.